I'd like to share with you some tips on how to look good on camera during job interviews, and this is based on my experience shooting over 1,000 YouTube videos. Let's begin with the most important element during a video interview, that is your voice. So ensure that your voice works before your job interview. What do I mean by this? Sometimes, especially during the morning, you tend to have a voice that you cannot communicate quickly, or you feel like you're not at full speed. So try to do a warm-up session right before your job interview so you're ready for the moment, you get straight into it. Furthermore, hydrating before and during your job interview is also something that is quite important. Right? The next tip I like to share with you is with respect to your face, your look during job interviews. For example, during the morning or after you took a nap, your face will look as if you took a nap. Right? So you would have to do a little bit of exercises. What I used to do before shooting these videos would be to warm up my face like this. You see, this instantly triggers, it makes me look more fresh on the camera. You can try it out and see for yourself on the difference before and after. Facial hair, having a beard, it's fine if you used to, but facial hair is not the preferred way to show up during job interviews. Okay, so with respect to lighting, any type of lighting works, but you should take into account that you must have a light coming preferably from the front, but also it can be a natural light, it could be a cheap light that you buy on the occasion. But lighting is also important because they want to see your face after all. They want to see that you are who you say you are during these job interviews. Next tip I'd like to share with you here is with respect to speaking at length. So during job interviews, more often than not, you'll be required to speak at length. And what happens is when people speak at length, they tend to suffocate because you tend to keep air inside and you stop breathing until you exhale everything. So it might be slightly uncomfortable for most people to interview this way, and unless you practice these things prior to your job interview, you'll be surprised with this. For instance, when I produce my videos, I tend to cut out my breathing sounds and my mouth noises from my videos. Now, you don't have to go as far for job interviews, but you should be aware of the fact that you have a tendency to suffocate if you cannot speak and if you cannot breathe during longer answers. So the fix for this would be ideally to intentionally pause at times. You can even take a hydration break, or you could do a test before your job interview. Try speaking an answer for 5 minutes or for 10 minutes to see how it works. Then you will immediately understand what I mean. But the idea would be that you want to maintain your energy levels even at the highest possible standards throughout your job interview. And this means that you'll have to breathe constantly and you'll have to hydrate and you have to maintain that performance. So keeping an eye on your energy levels and your performance and your speaking, your ability to speak, is also something that you must take into account. Next thing I'd like to share with you here is that most candidates are overconfident on how reliable their internet connection is during these job interviews. So what I recommend would be to keep a backup connections, such as your cellular line, or even some of these conferencing tools have phone numbers that you can dial in, and this would be the backup option. Similarly, your interviewer's voice might not come across as clearly as you think it would. After all, you cannot control their internet connection. So a fix for this would be to keep around a set of headphones, because headphones would make it easier for you, if you're not already using headphones during job interviews, to understand them more clearly. And by the way, if you have the slightest doubt that you didn't understand, you misunderstood the question, ask them to repeat the questions or ask them for clarifications, because this is also an event that happens quite often during job interviews. And last but not least, an important piece of advice I would highly suggest you here, especially nowadays, is to be yourself, especially on camera. Try to show as natural as possible with all the imperfections, so long you think that's acceptable level, because what you want to stay away from is for them to is for you to come across as some sort of AI candidate. And trust me when I tell you that there's more than a few candidates trying to read AI rewarded answers from their computer screens, and all sorts of combinations that they're not the purpose of this video, but trying to show as yourself, your true self, is something that sells incredibly well, especially these days. And one more trick here, if you have the slightest doubt that you may not come across as you think you would, you can also get closer to the camera, if not to be more convincing, that at least, to show them, hey, I am who I'm saying I am during these job interviews. As a closing note, you'll probably have noticed I never advised you to buy an HD camera or to have a perfect sound quality, to have an amazing background during job interviews, or to smile all the time. I don't believe this is the best possible advice. So I hope you found this useful, and thank you very much for watching.